Hello everyone, welcome to my latest VectoriaDesigns project, which is my Dragon Lady folio. So in this folio, I show you some pocket pages which utilize the journal pages. And we have two spines, left, right, and a nice deep pocket in the middle. And inside, we also have a little bonus project, which is a little ephemera wallet. Again, using elements from that Dragon Lady kit, and that can be a standalone project as well, or as you can see, you can make one to fit inside your large pouch. So using the journal pages, making some photo mats. Now I didn't have time in the video to tell you about the photo mats, but they are 5 3/4 by 8 inches tall, and they slide right in, if I can get it in between the pages. Just decorated then with the borders, which is one of the paper sheets in the kit, using all these journal pages, quite a selection of them. I think we used 8 of them, so 4 of the double page spreads, and a lot of the extra embellishments as well. So in the video, I'll take you through the basics. There are a few bits I haven't done. I don't finish the inside and these little bits because they're just little add-ons, and it was the same as there, just to cut down on time. I didn't show you the photo mats, but the basic album tutorial and all the pockets and things, I will show you. So I hope you enjoyed it, and grab your things and let's get going. So the first part of the folio is making the cover. So I've got my 1.5mm chipboard here, but you can use whatever thickness you want. Now I'm going to be using the tape method to assemble my cover, but you can do the traditional cardboard paper covered ones as well. But I just find I like the tape method because you get no cracking on the hinges, and it's a lot quicker as well. So we're going to start off with one piece at 8 3/4. So that's going to be the height of my folio, by 7.5. So 7.5. And I need 2 of them. So another 8 3/4 by 7.5. So that's my front and back. So then we need some spines. So again, they're going to be 8 3/4. So we want one spine at 2.5. And the other spine is going to come up and over, so it needs to be 2.5 plus the width of your chipboard. So for me it's 1.5mm, so I'm just going to come over like a 1/16. So it's just that little bit extra for us to come over the top. Now I'm going to mark this one plus width because they're very similar in size. So that's my plus width one. And then my final piece, I need one at 3 1/4. That is just under 3 1/4, the bit that's left. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to keep that. If you want to make one more exact, you can. So that's our cutting of the rectangles done, but we haven't finished with the guillotine yet. The front of our folio has got a nice shape to it. So I'm using my ruler now to mark 1.5 inches from this corner in both directions and joining them up. I'm going to do the same at this side, so 1.5, 1.5, and I'm joining them up. So I'm going to bring my guillotine back. I'm just going to line that up. And line it up. So now we've got the flap that comes over our folio having a little bit of extra interest. So now we've got our front, we've got our 2.5 inch spine, we've got our back, which has got that little extra bit of width on it to come up and above that so that that can go onto the front. So I'm going to start taping. So I'm using the Cool Cats frame tape here. Just a tape I think that's used in framing photographs, you know, when the profession's done it, so it's archival safe. Means you can use your photographs because it is a project designed for photography. And what I'm doing, I'm pulling back my tape and I'm placing my chipboard down the middle of the tape. So I've covered just 3 sides of my chipboard, and I'm just going to squeeze the corners, and then I just come in and cut the tape towards the corner of my chipboard. So I'm just taking out a small V shape, and I need to do that on both sides here and over the top to the other side. And the last one, it's hard to get in frame because it's quite a large piece and I'm trying to dangle it in the air. So now I've got the tape, it's just touching my chipboard, and I'm going to make sure I've got a nice adhesion there by just pressing it on. And here, and here. And then I just take my fingers, my finger and thumb, and I just start to get it folded over the edge. I'm doing this really slowly for the camera, and you'll see later on, once you've done it a few times, you'll be running away with it. And then from the center, I'm just going to make the full contact. So I've got to do that on every side. So contact, pinch to get that nice edge, and then fold it over. Now I'm going to see if I can get myself a crease. Just, yeah, right. So here now I've got a crease. With the tape, it doesn't matter, because what you do, you just take your bone folder. In this case, I've got a Teflon multi-tool, and you just press it out like you're ironing out, and you'll get a nice finished edge to your cover. So that's the first one done, so that's the front. Then on my spine, that's the one with the plus the width, so don't want that, I want the other one. You're not going to need to cover it all, you're just going to need to cover the top and bottom. So I'm just cutting it just a little bit short of the edge. And I just place it on and fold it over. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. half on and fold it over. So that's my spine. Then I've got the back cover. Again, I don't need to cover it all, just the top and bottom. So it's just a little bit shorter. Press it down and just get it all touching. This is a long piece, so I'm going to use my bone folder. And the bottom. So it's just half on, fold it over, and then the other half. Got a little bit over covering it. I could cut it off or just stick it down. Just make sure it's touching here. And then I've got my spine with a bit of width. Again, top and bottom. Now if yours is torn like mine, you really don't need to worry. It doesn't have to be perfect because most of it's going to be hidden by your papers or by the next step when we start to assemble. And then the final one is that shaped one. So now I'm going to do like I did with our first piece. Just cut that ripped, torn bit off. I'm going to lay my tape down. Oh, I seem to have collected some of my grey board. I'm going to place that short edge down, just down the center, and keeping my tape nice and taut so I can flip it over onto that diagonal one. Then onto the long edge, keeping it down the center, get some contact, then onto the diagonal, and then onto the final edge, and then just cut the tape. Now this time I don't actually need to do a V, so all I gotta do is just cut towards each of those corners of my chipboard. And on the other side. Because these aren't 90-degree corners, that V shape doesn't matter, so we're not going to end up with much bulk. I'm going to start on my shorter ones, and exactly the same as we did before, just fold them over, fold over the diagonals, and then fold over that longer edge. And then just take your tool and give it a nice burnish. So you can see how much quicker that was than the cardstock version when you've got an awkward shape. We don't need those V's anymore. So now we're going to start to actually assemble the cover. Now if you're going to make just a normal cover, you would just have your front, your spine, and your back, then you would have 3 sides. But today we've got the wraparound cover. So now I've turned my cover, I don't know why, I always turn it that way round. So I'm working a different orientation. So I've cut a piece of my tape now, which is just a couple of inches longer each side. I've got the sticky facing up, and I'm just going to slide it so it's just catching on my cover. Now when you're doing your cardstock covered album covers, you need that extra width between, otherwise your card starts to crack. Same with the tape, we need a double measure. Now instead of using pieces of offcuts and measuring, the easiest way with tape is, if you line up these 2 corners with the corners on your spine, This also means that your sides are nice and straight as well. We're going to flip them, hold them both and flip them over, holding it together. And then when you open it up, just gently tease your tape open. And what you've got is a gap which is twice the width of your chipboard. Far easier. And you do have a little gap there. That's all you do. Take your tape, slightly longer than the gap, and you're going to fill in that gap and burnish. So that's our spine and the front. So now we're going to do the same. We're going to cut a piece a couple of inches longer each side. And lift it just so we're catching onto our spine. So now we're going to bring our back piece. So that's how it's going to look, but I just find it easier this way because I can check those corners, check that the sides are matched up with what's beneath it, lift it up and flip it over. And now when I open it up, again, we've got that gap. So let's just tape up. And again, that gap. Just got chipboard in the way. So we've got the front, our left spine. Now we're going to add that spine with a bit of extra width. Yeah, plus width. So just lift that on. Just cut off that feathered bit from the chipboard. And we're going to, again, just matching up those corners, lining up the sides, lifting it up and over. Tease apart and pull down and pull up. And we're filling in that gap. And then the last one is our decorative bit. Now this is going to be slightly different because we don't actually need that double gap because it doesn't open. Oops, daisy, there we are. We're still going to put our main cover on. Down the center. But this time, instead of doing that and fold on, I'm actually just going to put this upright, touching my cardstock, my chipboard there, and just letting it fall down. So this time we've only got a single width. So it'll still fold, and it'll come like so. So you see we only wanted it to come round there, so that's why this one is slightly different. And fill in the gap as before. So I'm just going to tease into that gap and then press it down. And that is the cover all done. So these double width ones fold really easy, then the single width one is a little bit stiffer. So later on we'll add our magnets to keep that closed when we're decorating it. So that's the cover done. So let's get our cardstock ready to make the spine and the pages. So I've got my scoreboard and my scoring tool ready. I've got my trimmer. I've got my 220 GSM black cardstock. That's what I've decided for my base this time, but obviously you can use any colour you want. And just a pencil to mark. So I like to do all my cutting and scoring in batches. So we're going to do all the cuts first. That's why I've got a pencil so I can mark what each bit is. And then we'll move on and do the scoring all together. So we're going to start off with our spine. So our spine is going to be, this is A4 cardstock, which is 8 1/4 tall. And that's what I need. So I've designed it so making the most out of our cardstock. We're going to cut this at 4 inches. This is my, I'm going to write it down because that's how we're going to stick it later. Spine. We're going to need 2 of these, exactly the same. Spine. And then what I do is I flip it over so the writing is underneath. So when I come to flip everything back later on, it'll be in order. So I'm going to do my pocket pages next. And these need to be, I'm going to need 8 of them. Now my trimmer does cut 2 at a time. So I'm going to cut 2, 8 3/4. Now the front of these pocket pages have been designed to fit the largest journal pages from the kit. So it's a bit of a strange measurement. However, using the plain papers from the kit, such as this one, you can simplify the measurement here easily. So if you're using the journal pages, cut the next piece at 5 3/8. So 1, 2, 3. If you're using a normal paper, 5 1/2. Just a slight difference. So this is going to be my pages. So because it's 8, I'm just going to label the top one. So we've got 2 cut ready. So we've got another 6 to do. So 5 3/4. And by cutting them together, what I'm doing is making sure they're the same width then. 1, 2, 8 3/4. 5 3/8. And the last 2. Five 3/8. Through page. So that's my 8 pages. Then the inside of the cover has got some pockets. I'm going to cut with the longest bit across the top at 8 1/2. Turn it around. So the first one I'm going to cut at 5 1/2. This is pocket 1. And then the other one is 2 3/4, which is what, if you're using A4 cardstock, it already is. So this is pocket 2. So again, I did that measurement just to get the most out of our cardstock. And then right at the bottom of our folio, we've got a nice deep pocket, which is 9 inches by 6 3/4. Turn it this way. This is my deep pocket. And then the flap is 4 1/4. So I can take it from this side so I can keep a nice big piece left over. 4 1/4 by 7 1/2. And this was the flap to keep everything in the pocket safe. So there we go. All our pieces have been cut. So now I'm going to flip them over and you'll see now my spine is back at the top. Perfect for the next step. We're going to start scoring now. So with the spine, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. Now that's the bit we're going to attach our page to. And then 1 1/2. That is our spine piece. 1 1/2. So I've flipped it around and I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Now when I come to attach it, the word spine, I'll have it underneath, so don't panic if that's on show. So both our spines exactly the same. So 1/2 and 1 1/2. Rotate it, 1/2 and 1 1/2. And down. Then we've got those 8 pages, which are all going to be exactly the same. So long side on the top, 1/2 inch. Long side on top, 1/2 inch. And the last page. So that's the 8 pages done. Then we've got our pocket number 1. So we have got 8 1/2 across the top. We're going to do a 1/2 inch score line on both our short sides and down one of our long ones. So it's down, across and that side. Then pocket 2, exactly the same, both short sides and one long edge. Flip them upside down. Now the deep pocket, long across the top, we're going to do 1/2 and 3/4. So that extra distance here, that's going to be the depth of our pocket to allow us to put extra things in the center. So across one, down one of the long ones, 1/2 and 3/4 again, and along the short edge, 1/2 and 3/4. And then the distance between those ones will be the same as our flap. So on our flap, we want to score at 1/2 and 3/4 again. 1/2 and 3/4. So now we're ready to start attaching our tape. So here we are, I've got my tape. I'm also going to grab my bone folder or my Teflon tool. I like the Teflon tool from Cool Cats. It's got a little bit of flex in it, but also Teflon won't mark my black cardstock. So on my spine, I'm going to put tape between the outer and the first score line on both sides. Down one side and down the other. So I'm going to attach all the tape now without doing anything else. So again on this one, down one and down the other. Then on all our pocket pages, again between that score line and the edge of your paper. So you can go up to your score line, but just don't go over your score line. There's page 1. page 2. Page 3. And page 4. And then with our pocket pages, you're going to go from the edge up to that score line. So that was the bottom score line. So just going between the score lines on the short edge, both short edges and the long at the bottom. You can tape that, but it's just wasting your tape because in a second we'll be cutting it off. So again, I've got that long bit along the bottom, so I'm going to go between the score lines and then from the score line to the edge of the cardstock here. With the deep pocket, you've got that space between the two there. The tape again is going to go on that 1/2 inch part here. Just to the first score line, then between the two center score lines, and from that second score line to the edge. And with a flap, just a simple in that 1/2 inch across. And again, we're flipping over. So you can see how the system works. We're just doing each bit as we go. So I just need my scissors now. And what we're going to do, on our spine, we're just going to do a corner notch. So we're just going to notch off the corner. And that'll help us, when we got our pocket page, to slide over. And again, from that score line, just at an angle, off. So this is a corner cut, cutting away the corner up to our first score line. And again, so a corner cut. So there's one spine done. Just going to do the same again. And flip them over. The pages, you don't need to do that. No cuts on the pages. There's all 8. Now we've got to pocket 1. We are going to do a corner cut, but this time where the cross of our score lines appear. We're going to cut at like a 45-degree angle. Instead of carving on straight, I'm just going to angle my scissors slightly inwards, so it's not quite straight. If I took it straight, it wouldn't be too bad, but you have got the chance that your cardstock will overlap, causing too much thickness. So by altering that angle slightly, you're just ensuring those two sides won't overlap. So the angled corner cut on our pocket 1. On pocket 2, this isn't going to be stuck down. Actually, I didn't need to put tape on that. We're going to just do a slight angle and then cut off. So I'm going to cut towards that cross and down. Ignore the tape there, it wasn't needed. And with the deep pocket, we seem to have lots of crosses here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut towards that inner square. Then I'm going to cut away that square. And then cut out again. Let's have a look. You cut diagonal towards that square. Cut around the square and off again. You can do it again on this side. Cut towards the corner of the square. Cut the square away. diagonal again. And on the flap, just a corner cut. Now on the flap, if you did want to, you could use your corner punch to give it a bit more of a decorative edge. So there we go. We've cut all our bits. We now just need to score them. So on the spine, those two center ones are just going to come up as a U shape. And then those slim ones with your tape on, score it in both directions. You're training your cardstock to fold either way. That's where your page is going to flex. So that's why we've got this flexible hinge. So all our pages will lie flat. There we go. That's one spine done. And the other one, exactly the same again. And then train it both ways, those outer ones. And the reason I didn't burnish the tape down earlier is it's being done now. So as I'm scoring these, I'm actually burnishing that tape onto my cardstock as well. Again, page, you want this really nicely burnished because you want that fold to come back on itself. So now we've got 8 of these to do. Get it nice and flat. So the more you burnish here, the flatter your page is going to be. If you found in past your pocket pages are bowed, this could be why, because you haven't burnished your fold enough. This is where the Teflon tool comes into itself, because I can really press down and I'm not going to get those shiny marks that you sometimes get with a plastic one. So yeah, we've got 8 of these. It's lucky I didn't do more pages. There's the 8 pages on top of the spine. Our pocket, we want nice and flat. I'm going to burnish from the other side as well. And with pocket 2, ignore that you didn't need to put it on. You just want to fold back the 2 sides. Because what that's going to do is actually slip in there, but still be open. So that's why I didn't need the tape there. And flip them over. Now the deep pocket, remember you've got 2. So I'm going to fold both of those score lines. And I'm just going to give them a gentle burnish. I don't want a 180 degree fold here. I want a 90, so I don't need to squeeze and burnish hard like I have with everything else, because it's not lying flat. And then the flap. There we go. That's our pocket, deep pocket, and flap. So there we go. That's our pages and our spines all ready to go. Oh, and the pockets. So the next bit now will be to assemble the whole folio. So grab the cover and grab some magnets. So here we are, we've got our magnets, we've got our cover. the first thing you're going to have to decide is, do you want your cover opening this way and then open that way? Or do you want it opening this way? Either way works. I'm going to go this way this time. Let's move the pages out of the way and bring in our magnets. So my magnets are quite small. I think these are 8 mils. Usually I go for 10 or 12, but these were on a special offer. And they're 1/2 mil, so that's why I went for them. It's more for their thin, the thickness of them. They're really nice and thin. And I'm just going to put some of my black tape over there. Now the black tape is good because it smooths over the magnet, which means you get a nice softer edge when you put your papers on top. If you haven't got the black tape, just use your double-sided tape over the top. So because they're smaller, I'm going to put a few more on, but they were really so cheap that you're okay to use more of them. Let's put one there and one towards the edge here. So I'm putting plenty of magnets on today, just because they're smaller ones. But also I do want my cover to close nicely. So this is what holds the whole folio in shape and closed. So there we go. So now what I'm going to do is take a magnet and just let it drop onto each of the ones I've already put on. I'll find out later if I need another one there. So now I'm going to take some double-sided tape and just put it on top. Just spin it around so I can get it off. And this is just so when I close my folio in a second, it'll keep all the magnets when they find their place. There we go. One and the last one. So now you want to lift your cover and you want to close it to the place you want it to be at the end, because once you put these magnets in place here, that's the place they will find every time. So I'm just going to press down so that each of the magnets connects. Yep, the double-sided has caught each of them. And now I'm just going to, again, stick them down with some of my black tape. There we go. So let's have a look. When we close it, yeah, you've got a nice clunk. It seems to be holding nicely. I don't think I'll need that extra one yet. No. Okay, so now we've got our cover. We're now going to start to assemble the folio. So we're going to start off with our spines. And with the spine now, on the back of the bottom of the U shape, I'm going to put some tape. And then we also want to add a little bit of glue. So I'm using some Cosmic Shimmer, so a nice strong wet adhesive. Peel off the tape. And attach some glue. But what I'm going to do is just use some tape to hide the grey board. Now, the increments for our pages is 1/2 inch. But you'll notice this is 1 inch. That's because the other one is going to come in the middle here. So I'm just going to bring in my ruler, just so I can sort of have a gauge where 1/2 inch would be. So on the front page, on the left-hand side, I want my pages towards the left. So there's 1/2 inch. So my first one is at 1/2 inch. Let me just check here. Let's just move it, straighten it up. There we go. So that's 1/2 inch. Now, I did say I was going to put that underneath, but I forgot. So I'm just going to rub it off. There we are. Rub the weird spine away. It's okay, we're going to be covering that later on. And oh, it's a bit high with me. So let me just bring it down. There we go. So that spine's been put 1/2 inch in. Now this time, this is the front, we want it dropped down. So we're going to take it 1/2 inch. So again, from the left-hand side, funnily enough. Just to give me an idea. This time I have got the word spine on the back. And some glue. So the glue is what gives it the strength permanently, but the tape does keep it in place now so that it doesn't move to a place we don't want it. There we go. So you can see these two bits here are going to be exposed. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use my tape, just cut a piece to fill that gap. So there's that side. Take it right up to that spine. There we go. So that's our spines in place. So now what I'm going to do is put my cover to the side for a second and bring in my 8 pages. Now, if you're confident enough, what you do is you peel off a corner of your tape, exposing just a little bit, and you line up those corners and line up this edge and press it down. So now I've made contact there. I can just pull off my tape, grab my Teflon tool, and there we go. And then again, just expose a part of it. Get your page nice and flat. And press. If, however, you find it difficult to line up, just grab your scoreboard and place one page with that fold up into the corner. Then grab the other one, again, expose part of the tape. You can now just line up using your scoreboard, flip it around and do the same. Just getting it nice and flat. And there's your pocket page nicely lined up. So I'm going to do it again. Fold one back. Tuck them both in. There we go. And one more squeezing it down for nice and flat. And connecting. So there's your 4 pocket pages done. So let's bring back our cover. Now you can decorate this before adding it, but because I'm doing all the steps in one go, we're going to do it now. Now those V's we cut earlier will now just help this to slide in and on. If they were straight, you would end up having quite a struggle getting it on. Now, when we're adding our pages, I'm going to be sliding them on and stopping just shy of my score line. I don't want to go on or beyond my score line, otherwise it won't flex. So I've got some tape here, which I'm going to take off. I don't put tape on both sides because it will just stick. So what I do is I glue up the other one because you don't want it open, otherwise everything will fall out. So I'm opening up my pocket page and I'm sliding it on until I reach my score line. There we go. So there's one. So I put glue on this side just to seal my pocket shut, and the same. So I'm going to open up my pocket and slide it on. It's easier if I fold it the other way, so I'm not making contact with that tape until I'm absolutely sure. There we go. Got a bit of excess glue on my finger. It's okay, this glue dries clear, which is one of the reasons I really like it. Again, let's seal our pocket shut. Take off the tape. So I'm going to slide our pocket page on. And contact with the tape. And the last one, there's the tape off. Grab my glue. Make sure the hinge works, and that's where the tape was. And now we have our alternating pages. Now I've left enough space on there. If you wanted to put extra pockets and things on, you would be able to. But I'm going to keep them flat using those journal pages today. So now the center is going to be where I'm going to have my deep pocket. So let's get pocket 1 and 2 for now and move everything over. Now, pocket 1, I'm going to add some glue just because we're going onto the board, not onto cardstock. I've peeled the bottom off, and I'm just going to line it up with the bottom left-hand corner, and then line it up along the bottom of my cover, and then just take off the 2 pieces of tape. Again, because I'm going onto the tape and chipboard and things, I'm just adding a bit of glue. Now, if you remember, this next pocket is the one I made the mistake on. I don't need that tape, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck this in. So the score line is actually going to line up with the top of that. Now, I'm not too worried about that tape now, because when I come to put my decorative paper on top, I can just cover it up. But hopefully I caught you and you didn't put the tape on. You know my videos, it's warts and all. So lining up to that score line, and then line up the left hand side, line it up on the right. And although it's a shallow pocket, it actually goes all the way to the bottom. So if you've got large documents, you can put it in there. And let's go to the center then. The center has our deep pocket. So just like I did with the first pocket, I'm just going to add some glue. I'm going to have to move it up a little bit. And make sure you're on the chipboard. You'll see a little groove where the tape or the gap is. We're lining up between there. And because you've got that 1/4 inch, it's a bit trickier. So just be extra careful. That's where the glue comes in handy, because you do have some adjustment time. I'm now going to take off the whole of the tape, because I want to attach glue all the way up and all the way the other one. And I'm now going to line up, have it as a U shape, making sure the edge is on the edge of the chipboard, not going over the groove or into the channel between. Make sure it's on the chipboard and nice and straight. Get your tool in to get that contact. There we go. So we've got a deep pocket there, and then the flap, again some glue just in case I need to move it, as well as making good contact. Again, make sure it's this fold here you're lining up with your chipboard between those two channels again. So I'm getting contact on the sides. Just going to have to carefully lift it, get a tool in to hold it down. There we go. And here you then can decide how you're going to close it. So page from that side, page from this side, page from this side, and the left hand side. And then when you close it, they'll just slide between each other. Got pockets there, and close. And that is your folio, all complete and ready to decorate. So join me now in the next part where I'll show you how it's decorated. I'll take you through all the cutting. I'll also show you some more of the Dragon Lady kit and how we're going to use those journal pages to decorate those pages in a really quick fashion. So join me soon for the next part. So welcome to the decorating of the Dragon Lady folio. Now, as I said in the construction, I've designed it to fit the journal pages from the kit. Although you could use any of the kits or any papers you want. You could use the decorative papers and decorate the pages with them instead and do all your normal scrapbooking things. But as I said, I've used them, designed it for these in particular. So this is the largest one. I did have a bit of mishap with my printer, kept on jamming. I've sorted it now, but I didn't need to waste it because the papers themselves were fine, the printed bits. So I've printed off 4 of these. Now I have prepped some of them already just to save some time, but there are loads in the kit. So you could make the same album a few times and it'd all look different because there are so many of the papers, of the journal papers. As you can see, I've cut it in half, which I'll show you later. I've needed some decorative papers as well. Now, I'm not sure if I'm using this one, but I've chosen this fabulous one for my cover. And it also has the matching backing paper using the same sort of colours. So I've printed off one of them as well. And I've already cut these for my cover just to save some time. You can see there's a nice choice of papers. So I'm going to be using these on the inside of my album. And also, as usual with your VectoriaDesigns kits, you've got loads of paper, pages of ephemera. You've got journal cards, pockets, and some other pockets. So we're going to use some of these today as well. So let's get going with the cover. So just as I do normally using any of my cover pieces, I just measure the rectangle, and each measurement then just go down 1/4 inch. So my cover was 7.5, so my paper is 7.25 wide, and it was 8.5 tall, so 8 3/4 tall, so my paper is 8.5. And this is the dragon paper, and I've just taken some distress ink, some Black Soot, and gone round the corner, and that's just gotten rid of the white core. Now this one I haven't done it. You can see that the core, because we've trimmed our paper, it shows the distress ink will just mask and hide that and just give us a nice finish. So again, we're just going to glue around the edge of my paper and around the middle, but I'm also going to have some glue just around and on top of my magnets there, because that's where the paper is going to have the most activity, should we say. I'm just going to line it up, and again, I just open up my album. I'm just going to bring my Teflon tool just to spread that glue around and burnish my paper on, especially over those magnet areas. And there we go. I've got a piece here now. I imagine that my flap piece here hadn't been cut, and that it was still a rectangle, which was 3.25. So I went down to 3 inches wide by 8.5 tall. Now you can just place it here and just mark off where an even border would be, or you can go back and mark 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, just like we did when we were cutting our cover piece. So 1.5, sorry, and 1.5. Just get my scissors. Now I'm using some non-directional paper here, so it didn't matter which way round I placed it down. But just make sure if you have got wording or text that you're doing that, you've got it up the right way. And you know what? I'm quite happy with that. If not, you can always just trim a little bit more. And distress ink, just to hide. Now I did that with a red pen, with the red ink pen, so you could see it. Usually I would just use a pencil, but the Black Soot distress ink hides your ink anyway, so even though I use the red pen, you would never know. Now, there we go, and making sure I'm going right to the edge. Covering. And pressing down. Of course, I'll need to do it again later for the inside. And that's the cover, the front of the cover done. Now with the 2 side pieces, again, they were going to be 8.5, if I'm right, yeah, 8.5 tall. Now one was cut at 2.25, and one was cut with 2 1/4 and just a little bit extra. If you remember, we had a little bit extra for the width there. Now I've already put my Black Soot on this, so I'm just going to place it on. And this is the 2 1/4 exactly, so this goes on the shorter or the narrower spine. And then the back, I'm going to leave for now and see what I've got left. If I've got nothing left, what I'll do, I'll put just a black piece of cardstock on there and maybe one of the leftover images or something like that. So I'm going to see what I've got for the back later on. So there we go. There's our cover all done. So let's open up and we're going to go to our pages next. So as I said, I used the largest journal pages and I printed off the 4 I want. And so all I'm going to do is cut them out. I'm just using my scissors because sometimes your printer might not print straight and can be quite tricky. So the trimmer then would come awkward to use. So I just find it much quicker and easier, and I waste less by using my scissors. And if it's not perfectly straight, it won't matter, because when we distress the edges with that Black Soot, you won't see it anyway. So let's just grab my trimmer, very nice and flat. So our pages, or journal pages, are 10 and 1, 2 and 3/8. So half is 5 and 3/16, which is there. Or what you can do is just fold in half, press the corner and line up the corner there. If you're not into measuring tiny measurements. Now again, I'm just taking my Stress ink. This also hides, if you'd left a little bit of white showing, all of a sudden the white has disappeared. So it's a nice finishing touch, but also hides any imperfections. Now on previous VectoriaDesigns journal pages like this, in my Wizard School album, I actually used photo corner dies by Cool Cats to cut in, so we've got places to put our photos. If you wanted to do that, now would be the time to cut in any corner pieces, corner photo slots that you want. So now I've got the same done with 3 more pages. So I've got 6 here and the 2 I've just done. So I've now got 8 pages, enough to cover my journal or my folio. So let's glue these on. And remember, you like, although it's black on black, just lift it up so you can see that you've got it centered. And I'll put the back of that over the top. See, these journal pages have so much detail that you really don't need to do much more to them. So now, when you're laying them out, be aware that you're working the left spine and the right spine. if I was using the photo slot dies, I would probably have my 6x4 ones there, and maybe my 4x4s just covering the dragon on this one. But again, there's space for people to just drop their photos, whatever size, and then onto these. Let's go onto the back of this one. I think I'm out of shot, but I think you can gather what I'm doing. And coming back to this side. So the last page. And the back. Just a piece of black card stuck to that one. And there we go. So that's our 4 pocket pages all done. Now you may think, why the inch spans here? Well, in this paper kit, we've got a piece of paper, or piece of background paper, which is full of really nice strips. So I thought these would be fun just to put inside there if you wanted to, as extra embellishments for covering the spine. So obviously you could use your offcuts from other bits, or these ones. These are slightly thinner than 1 inch when I printed them out, so I thought they'd be perfect there. So we'll come to them later on if we've got time. So let's go to, which bit should we do next? This. Let's do the inside pocket. So this is our 2 just regular slim pockets. Let's have some backing paper. Now I think I'm going to go with these 2, some nice dragons and some nice weaponry there. So let's have a look how wide. So our page was 7.5, which means I'm going to be cutting my papers at 7.25 inches wide. So let's bring back my trimmer. Now bear in mind these are digital papers, so I'm going to have to trim off the white before I start measuring. So it's 7.5, let's go down 1/4, so 7.25. So our bottom pocket was 5 inches tall. So I'm going to cut it at 4 3/4. Let me just double check. Yeah, 5 inches, so 4 3/4. Again, just cover those edges. Now the height of the next 2 bits don't really matter, because they're not covering a complete pocket. They're actually going to be tucked in underneath. So I'm going to need it at least 2 1/4. So I'm going to go 2.5 for that one and 2 for that one. So actually I could take the 2 off this one now. So this is going to be the top pocket. And let's bring in that lovely blue. I think, yeah, it's that way. So 7.25 inches. So I wanted it to be at least 2.5, wasn't it? So let's go 2 3/4, just so we got some extra leeway because I want to cover that tape I left on earlier. Right, so I'm only distressing 3 edges here because I'm not going to see the bottom edge. So let's bring it back in. So let's start with, I think it's that way around, yes. The large 5-inch pocket. I'm just going to line it centrally there. Then the next one, make sure I've got my distressed edge on the top. I missed a bit there, I think. Okay. And what we do now is we tuck that pocket up and, oh, we lift our pocket, sorry, and tuck our paper underneath. Now it might catch me here because I've still got, actually I could take it off if I get my finger in. Just need to be extra careful that I don't close the pocket until I'm ready. There we go. This is a risky one now. There we go. I'll just grab my Teflon tool to burnish it down, and then our top piece. Tuck that in there. So that's the basic decoration of that pocket page, but because we've got all these ephemera pieces, why not? That might go nice because we're tying in the blues. Let's use one of these. So I'm just going to cut out the outside. Go. I'm just going to bring my ruler and my scoring tool. So I'm going to go for the thinner one this time. I'm just going to score the 3 black lines. So I've just used my ball tool just so that it folds nicely around, and you can see this has already been distressed, so I may not, or shall I? Yeah, because I've got the black distress, I think I'll just finish it off so it ties in. And it gets rid of that white core from that score line, so yeah, it was the best thing to do. So I'm just going to put some glue there and some glue here. And let's I'm going to use my tape just so it keeps in place for now, but you can just use your glue. Just taping down those 3 edges. Let's bring it over. And stick it down. And there are some journal cards now that we can just cut. there was a little bit of white showing there, but it's disappeared now that I'm using my Distress ink. And you can just cut out all those cards and have them tucked in. It's all sized perfectly to go together. Oh, he goes up that way, see? There we are. And the cards will go in anywhere we want. So that's the front page. Our, oh, got a bit of the paper cut. Our pages are done. So it's just the flap and our deep pocket left to go. I think I'm going to keep going with this, and it's already been cut to the width we wanted. So that's all I need to do now is the height. So it was 3.5. So my flap paper needs to be 3.25. And because I curved the edges earlier using my corner punch, I used the large one. This time now I'm going to use the medium one. And that'll give me a nice layered corner. So our our pocket is 6 inches tall. So let's go back to 5 3/4. One thing I've just noticed, I've cornered the wrong side, so my dragons are upside down. But that's not to worry. I haven't wasted it, because what I can do, I can actually put that on the inside instead, and now my dragons are the correct way up. Or, if you do that, you can just take your corner rounder and corner the other side as well. And it just looks like you've got a nicer mat that way. Now, think before you glue these down how you're going to do a closure. Now, my closure is going to be a folio closure, so I can do it on top of my decorative paper. And do you know what? I still stuck it on upside down. There we are. Bit. Let's lift it up. Now be careful on this bit, because if you remember, it's a deep pocket, so you're not pushing onto anything. You don't want to squash your pocket. There we go. And then, so all we've got left to do now is decorate the inside. So I'll just go for, just we go, we've got this dragon one, which I'll tie the blue one. Yeah, let's go for this one. So again, what is it, 7 1/4 wide, yes? Yep, 7 1/4 wide. And our flap was 3 1/4. Gotta remember this time that I punch the top. And then we just want to line our pocket. So though you only technically see that bit, you want to go a bit deeper. So I'm going to go down to about 5. looking for my... Here we go. Let's open it up. Now this time, I'm not going to leave it out. I'm going to take it up to my score line. There we go. And black tape has got there. And there. And that's your folio all decorated. Obviously, we've still got that piece to do there, which is exactly the same as we did on the front. I got a piece that's not big enough. I'll find a piece later on and I'll finish that off, but it's exactly the same as we did on that one. So that's all I need now is just a quick closure here. Now I'm going to use my Cool Cats dies once again. Now these are just circle dies, but the special thing is they got a little hole in the middle, and that's a matte and layer one. So I've already cut some of there, and you also get some matching ones using some piercing. So they're good for your ribbon ends. So I've already cut a few out here. Now, if you haven't seen me do this before, there are loads of videos of me doing this on my channel, but also in my last VectoriaDesigns with my Alice in Wonderland project. I showed you how to do these, so have a look back at that. But basically I just do a pattern circle with a hole in the middle onto a black, back it with another black, then take my brad, go through that and through another one, but I'm not gluing that second one, or the third one really. I'm just opening it up. That allows me then to have a gap in between those glued ones and that one I've just stuck on. I'm going to tape it down and add some glue to it and just place that in the center. And then I do exactly the same again with a few more. Glue two blacks together. I've lost the little brad, so I'll finish it off once I'm done. As I said, I've got videos on how I've done this, but you could also do the swing closures or anything like so. And then you'd glue that there, let them dry, take some 1mm wax cord, tie it around, cut, wind it round however many times you want, cut it off, and then use those full circles to make a ribbon end. Just by gluing those in between. So two black ones, squash it around your cord, around the end, glue them together and place a decorative one on top and on the bottom. So as simple as that, but I'm sure you've got your own closure ideas as well. And then of course, if I wanted to, I could use the envelopes. I've got another long pocket like I did on the front, maybe a corner pocket. So plenty of ideas then on what else you could put onto your pages or onto your larger pockets. So as I said, I've also got these 1-inch border pieces that I can place on all these spaces here because they're all 1 inch, or you can use your decorative papers. So that is my Dragon Lady folio album. As I said, you could use any of your Victoria Design paper kits. All the journals, all the kits with the journals come the same sizes, so you could use your other kits as well. And if you've enjoyed watching this, I'd love it if you'd give me that thumbs up or even hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. But if you keep watching and you follow along, I might just come up with a little bonus project for something to go inside here, which will match the whole kit. So stay tuned for that. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your own versions of these folios. So see you all again soon. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my Dragon Lady project. Now I've already shown you how I made the folio, but after making the folio, we've got all these little bits left over. I had a few sheets left over, so I thought I'd show you a little bonus project, a nice quick easy one of something we can make with just a couple of sheets, and we'll tie in with our projects and fit inside that folio. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, and I've got one piece of cardstock here. I'm going to cut this at 7.5 inches tall. By 11 1/8. So it's 11 1/8. And then got another sheet. Again, I'm going to cut it at 7.5. And then by 10. Then we've got a third sheet, so that's all we needed was 3 sheets. We're going to make a pocket, which is 3.5 by 6.5. And then all those little bits you had left over earlier, you can cut out your pockets from these, because the next bits were 2 3/4, which is what we had left over from when we cut our pages, by 7.5. We'll find another one. Oh, this wasn't the same size. This is another offcut, but again, it's still the same size, which is 3.5. Sorry, 2 3/4 by 7.5. Let's check. Yeah, 2 3/4. Okay. So let's put our scoreboard away and grab our trim away and grab the scoreboard. So this hasn't got any chipboard, it's just cardstock. So we're going to be strengthening the back by doubling up some of the card. So on this one, this is the 11 1/4 piece. We're going to score at 5.5. Oh, I've still got my... So 5.5, and then just across to the next 1/8. So it's 1 2 3 4 5/8. 5 5/8. And we're going to do exactly the same on the 10-inch one. 5.5 and the extra 1/8. Then the 6.5-inch long one, we're going to do it 1/2 on the 2 short sides, and on the 3.5, down 1 long edge at 1/2 inch. The other 2, I'm not going to be scoring anything on. They're going to be glued pockets. So with both of our large pieces, we're just going to fold and manipulate that 1/8 of an inch spine. Okay, so it's not necessarily a fold, we're just getting it shaped. And again on this one, just fold that first one and just manipulate that second one. If it's tricky, what you can do is put your ruler down on the table along the score line and fold up against it. So we've got one which has got two sides the same and one which has got a shorter one. So this is our front, and then this will be coming over and a little bit short there. Our pocket, same as we did in our folio, we're going to put our tape between the edge of the cardstock and that 1/2 inch score line. We're going to do our corner cuts. So if you want to know how I did that in a slower detail, go watch the folio album. But that's all I'm doing is I'm cutting towards the cross of the score lines and then angling out a little bit. Then folding back and burnishing it down really well so we get a nice flat pocket. So all our pieces are prepared because our two other pockets we're not going to do anything with. We're now going to open up the widest one, and this one with the narrow bit we're going to open up as well, and we're going to put glue on the back of this one. What this is going to do now is we're going to double up the back just so our folio has a bit of strength. Let's just get it to the edges here as well. And we're going to open it up and glue these into place. Now make sure you're not going over those score lines, otherwise your folio won't close. Got a bit of excess glue there. I have got my acrylic glue, which is dry clear, so I'm not too worried about that. There we go. Let's open it up and let's put in that pocket. So the pocket is going to go right in the middle. In between those two central score lines. Make sure you don't go over them, otherwise again the folio won't close. And that's as much as I'm going to do there for now with the gluing. I'm not going to attach those two pockets I got left until after I've decorated it. Now I'm going to though use my largest corner rounder just to do that one. So now it's time to start decorating. So as I said, I had loads of pieces left from my main folio, and I've got a couple of large pieces here. So I've got my two pockets. I will need some pieces of cardstock, paper to go onto those. Let's start with those. This was 7.5 tall, so I'm going to cut them at 7 1/4, just coming back that 1/4 inch, exactly like as I did in the folio when I was decorating that. And it was 2 3/4, so I'm going to do it at 2 1/2. 2 1/2. And I found that the piece I had left was a little bit short, so I'm going to just make sure I've got a black border. Yep, that's fine. And I think I'll cut the other one from this one later on. In fact, let's do it now. So my folio, as I said, was 7 1/4, 7 1/2. So it's 7¼ inches tall. So let's have a look. Let's use this to cover the front. So our folio now is 5½. So I'm going to do this at 5¼ and again use some of my distress. Oh, before I glue it on, I do want to attach some magnets, don't I? So let me grab my black tape again, place a couple of magnets just on the inside here. Just like I did in the folio, I'm just going to drop my magnets on top, put a couple of pieces of double-sided tape on top. Close my folio into place. And put some black tape over the top again. Let me move my trimmer and just burnish the tape down. There we go. So on the inside now, I've got this paper and I'm going to glue it onto one of my pockets. And because this hasn't got those 1/2 inch ones, because we didn't want to add extra bulk, I'm actually going to glue it straight on. That means you won't be able to fit things here because the glue will be there, but it makes for a much flatter pocket and you'll still be able to get things in, but you do have to decorate the underneath before gluing it on. So let's have a look. This paper I've got left over works there. Or is it going to work? It's going to work better over this side because I think the dragons were upside down. So I'm going to use my medium corner this time because I used my large one for that side. Let you notice then. So this is actually going to go here. So let's glue it on. I'm probably thinking it's not going. So what I'm going to do is glue the pocket on. Now my 2 score lines are here and here. So I'm going to be placing my pocket up to that score line but not touching it. But I'm just going to glue on the back 3 edges, leaving this open so we can actually put our ephemera bits in. There we go. So those 2 are just scraps from my folio. Again, I got a scrap from my folio here and it's already cut to size for me. So let's glue that down. Now I'm only inking 3 sides because that bit's going to go under the pocket. And now I've got another pocket here, so I do need to cut into my pages a little bit more. So again, this was going to be let's just double check, 2.5. By 7.25. And as we did with the other pocket, we're just going to cover and glue 3 edges and not cover our score line. There we go. Let's just check it closes. There we are, and the magnets did shut it there. So now we do need a piece for the front. So let's have a look. It was 4.5 in the end. 4.5, so I'm going to go to 4.25 by 7.25. There we are. I need to remember to trim the corners. There we go. And then we should have enough of this blue. Excellent. I think it was 5.5 between the score lines. Yep, so 5.25 be the width of this. 5.25. Just cut it because I've got too much bulk underneath. There we are. 5.25, and whilst I've got this out, let's cut this at 5.25 as well, because that's going to be my, it's going to have to go in my pocket. It's too small, I think, to go here. Or is it? Oh, we could do that and use this. Or should we go? No, let's go, because it is nice and long. Right, it was a 3-inch tall pocket, so I'm going to go back to 2.75. Again, black distress ink. Onto the front. And I'm going to go 6 inches. The length isn't really that important, this, because it's going to tuck inside our pocket. So that's why I only inked 3 edges, because this bottom piece will be hidden inside. Just tuck it in and glue it in place. And then that is your ephemera pocket or your photo wallet, whatever you wanted to call it. You can now use some of these to decorate it a bit more. So let's go for it. Let's have this corner one. And I will need a ruler and my scoring tool, which I put with my scoreboard. There we are. Go back to my thinner one, just so, oh, that's my pin. That's not going to score very well. There we go. That's a thin ball tool now. I'm going to just draw down the lines which are already there for me, just to give me a nice even fold. Now, if it shows over, because you can tuck these over your page like so, but because mine's going on the front as so, I'm just going to cut it off at a bit more of an angle. Let's just get my score tool, put a little blob of glue where they overlap, just to hold it down. And I would normally tape it, but for speed now, let's just glue it on. So the colours of this actually match the paper I chose. Oh, I need to cut off a bit more. There we go. And because we've got that as a pocket now, I can take the ephemera cards, and I think the ice cream van is making a visit to our street. Let's be hearing all the children running soon. There we go. So we can now, once the glue is dried, to be even better, we've got that. Let's have this large photo card or journaling card. Has got more things I could add. So this could go inside there because it's quite a bit short. Remember now we've got the glue there and there, so we can't put something the full height of our folio, but that photo card would work nicely there. That would work there. There are some tags. Let's go for this tag. Let's have a look. I thought it would be too long, but actually this might also fit. If it does, this will be a nice one to add because we've got one of these in our main folio. So having it in our ephemera pouch would tie even more so. I'm going to even do it without the scoring, maybe not on the long one. Let's get Again, just ink the edge. Get rid of that white core if your paper has split, or hide any white bits from your cutting. I didn't check if it actually did fit, but I think I'm just in luck. Here we go. Yep, so we've got another little pocket there. I'm not going to add too much more here, otherwise my folio won't close. And you can put some smaller ephemera in there, and maybe some of these circular ones, some of the little envelopes. But we could just have a little tuck spot here. Let's go for that. I know I said I was going to finish there, but let's go again. So if I just glue down like a reverse L shape and I place it here, that still means then things can be tucked in behind there too. Just a few more last minute ideas for you. So there we go, our little ephemera pouch or folio, a little photo wallet made using some of the scraps and the leftovers. The back then, you can have another photo space, or if you've got some more paper, some more things you can add there. So 2 pouches there, a pocket there. We've added a little one, a little tuck spot, and used a corner one. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the Dragon Lady project. I hope you've enjoyed the main folio and this little bonus project, and I'm looking forward to seeing your versions as well. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and have a look as well on the VectoriaDesign YouTube channel for lots more ideas on what to do with your kits. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.